Hey, everybody. Welcome back. Another episode of the pod. It's been a while. I was out on vacation last week. Coming back, and we have a new NBA champion, the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Yeah.
Congrats on them winning in a hard fought 7 games. That was incredible to watch. We'll get into it in a bit, but in the meantime, Diego, how are you? How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I just took a 10-minute power nap. I got out of the shower at 6:30. I was like, man, I'm kind of sleepy. I was on my phone for a while. Then at 6:40, I'm like 10 minutes right there. And man, I feel refreshed. But the best thing about that nap is I wake up and we are I was welcomed. I was greeted, that's a better word, to another trade. We've had 3 trades in the past 24 hours. This is amazing. Moves are happening. The Celtics making 2 of them, so we'll be talking about that. But that was pretty lit. Been going to the gym. Been on a 3-day streak, which has been amazing. So yeah, doing pretty good out here.
Trying to get back into it, and I'm sure you're even more happy to hear who the number one selection the Mavs are going to make tomorrow. That's
Can I
going
get
to be very
the
interesting to see
Dallas shirt?
how
Oh
Nico will screw it up. But we'll see.
gosh, pain.
Do you like how I swerved you there, huh? We'll
Okay.
see. It's not a
No,
swerve if it actually happens, but we'll see.
I was telling my girlfriend that the draft is tomorrow, and I was like, I'm so excited to get Cooper Fly, and she's like, so how are you so sure the Mavs will draft Cooper Fly? And I was like, why would you say that? And she's like, from everything you've told me, it doesn't seem like the Mavs make good choices. I'm like, I get that, but why would you say that? So everyone is. I have another friend that's a Mavs fan here, and he said the same thing. Like, do you think Nico's gonna make the pick? I was like, Nico doesn't make the pick. I don't know what I'm doing. So
Ace
I will.
Bradley for the win.
No way. Especially after all this stuff he did with.
Especially after the Gafford extension. It's the way to go, man.
I mean, I think we did that to trade him. Although there's so many rumors that we're not trading him. It's a it's a like Zubats is on that contract, and that's a complete underpay for an All NBA center and for what could be a starting center somewhere else. For Daniel Gafford, I think it's good money. So I think it's team friendly, not just for the Mavs, but for any other team that might want Daniel Gafford. So yeah,
All right. Let's get into it. Talk about the champions. Oklahoma City, 68 wins in the regular season. All season long, they were like,
yeah,
there were naysayers. Like, I don't think they're for real. I have the Lakers beating them. I have some other, like, me personally, I picked the Nuggets before the season started because I really believed in their team, even though it was top heavy. And they came an Aaron Gordon hamstring away
yeah,
from making it a competitive game 7. And similar with the Pacers, we'll talk about it in a bit. They came a significant injury away from potentially like from making them fight tooth and nail. But this team all year long has had the best defense, has had the best offensive player, who has MVP, Finals MVP now, scoring leader, and a championship
yeah,
to like cement himself for it. And he didn't shoot great in this game. He was 8 for 27, but 11 of 12 at the foul line, and then providing 2 blocks and steal. Many assists. I think he had like 12 or 13 assists. Um,
hmm 12.
yeah, Shea was amazing. Jalen Williams had like he and Chet were the focal point of the series, and although Chet didn't have the best offensive series, like that you expect out of a secondary option, Jalen Williams put up 40 at one point,
Yeah,
and to have 20 points and 2 steals, Alex Caruso proved why he was traded for what he did, um, and Hardenstein, like getting other guys involved and just being a force offensively, very underrated. Um, Deep team, deepest team in the league, and they just give Indiana credit. They kept it competitive after Halliburton went down,
yeah.
but as soon as Halliburton went down, it's just like OKC's gonna win this. And guys like Dort, like if you have Dort hitting it from the parking lot, you
That
got
was
no chance.
insane.
So,
Yeah,
all the props in the world and the credit to Oklahoma City Thunder. I was a little bit mad at them for doing what they did at the start of game 1 and then like blowing it the way they did, but
mm,
they they clearly all season long learned how to stop opposing momentum well, and they did that against the Pacers when they needed to.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Definitely the best team in the league. But the only thing, one thing they talked about in Thinking Basketball podcast is kind of a Allen Iverson-esque team where offensively you have your Shea, in that case, your 2001 76ers, you have Allen Iverson, and then you have just a bunch of defensive guys, which is really the vibe. And I started comparing in my head to the 21 Bucks because, man, at times in that fourth quarter, in Game 6 completely, the offense was disgusting. I know I'm nitpicking. They're the NBA champions, won 68 games. What is that? 84 games in total, plus the 16 they won to win the championship, right? But man, it was very difficult to watch at times, and uh, and it made me think. What it made me think that, right? No, I don't remember what I thought, but that just made me kind of sad. That was so difficult to watch at times. But overall, just some offensive things to keep passes going. They're actually a league, like they don't. They're very low in the league at making passes, but still high in assists. And you can tell that there's a lot of iso ball in there in the end. But Shea, with those 12 assists, really had an impact here in this last game. And I think Jalen Williams, they said he had some sort of tendonitis in a wrist, so maybe that's why he wasn't shooting as well. But Chad as well, good toughness to all throughout the series and throughout most of the playoffs. He didn't shoot well from three, even getting blocked a few times by Miles Turner. Great overall defense. What was it, 5 blocks? That was wild. And yeah, um, people said, will the Pacers be remembered more than the Thunder this year? I don't think so because 68 wins is something, and I'm not forgetting that. But the Pacers definitely cemented themselves a bit more as the 2001 Sixers for giving the Thunder a run for their money. So it was a great series, and I'm glad we were wrong. I'm glad we were wrong, and it was fun.
Yeah. Somebody was telling me it was either going to be Thunder in 5 and Pacers in 7, and I thought like after Game 6, Pacers had all the momentum to roll into it. Only
Yeah,
reason why I still picked the Thunder was because they're going home and they shoot better from 3 at home. So like
yeah,
that mattered at the very end, and that's why you play for home court advantage. Um,
hmm,
but with Tyrese, like I know he said it himself, and I think a lot of NBA players at that level will agree. Like if you're dealing with lingering issues in a must-win Game 7 that defines your legacy, you're playing in that game no matter what. Even
yeah,
if logically it's like the stupidest thing to do because you could get an injury like a torn Achilles. Like if I was out there, I want to win a championship. I will play through that, and I would have I would have done the same thing. I'm probably sure you would have done the same thing too. Um, and you just don't miss those moments. And if it was the regular season, you'd probably be out like 2-3 weeks because
yeah,
hamstring strains, calf strains, you need to get it treated right. Like you need to completely
hmm,
heal from it before you start. You can't just play at like 80% because they can flare up at any moment.
yeah,
So like nobody should be questioning Tyrese Haliburton's heart. I thought Stephen A. Smith was a little bit harsh by saying he's not a superstar, but I see where he's coming from when you look at
yeah,
some of the offensive numbers where he's like he has single digit points half the time.
hmm,
And you're looking at him where it's like last season he had the big difficulty in balancing when to pass and when to score because he's good at either one, but he just didn't know how to put it in sequence. And he looked like he was on boot with the 3 straight threes and
yeah,
um, like the passing ability to like dropping 40 in this game. And it looked like he and Shea were going to go blow for blow. And to be robbed of the opportunity sucks. But credit guys that stepped up, like TJ McConnell getting 14 points in the third quarter and being the only source of
gosh,
offense the Pacers had. Like that
yeah,
was incredible. Pacers better not let him go. Only guy that
yeah,
disappointed was Obi Toppin, who was having a great final NBA playoffs overall.
hmm,
Forget the finals. He was having a great NBA playoffs. Um, like Siakam maybe could have been a little bit more aggressive in that moment. Nemhard a little bit too, and Neesmith fouling out, not great. But
yeah,
do you really fault Siakam, who's been having like great games and like taking advantage of matchup? No, like when Tyrese goes out, like he's the next guy you got to worry about. So it's like now all the attention's on him. Like, how much can he do in that situation? Um, I just look at the Pacers and how well they constructed their roster and say they'll be back, especially with how the depth like was playing as great as the starters at some points. Um, and the East is wide open now with all these significant injuries hitting Dame, Jason Tatum,
Yeah.
Tyrese. Like it's mind boggling. But I don't think the Pacers are out of it. I also want to give the Thunder credit too, because they have been the best team in the West all season long, and people have been questioning it.
Yeah.
And when they had their biggest test this postseason, they stepped up to the plate and delivered the job. Um, Tyrese getting hurt doesn't take away from what they did. They still played great defense. They still like showed out when they needed to, and they stepped up when they needed to. So
Yeah. Um, they definitely, and it's so interesting. I saw, so as a Mavs fan, I'm on Mavs Twitter. The Mavs Twitter definitely hates the Thunder because of just having such a contested series last year, and us winning was awesome. But there's a tweet where it pointed out last year the Mavs beat who did we beat in the first round? Like the Clippers, they were a 50-win team, I think, last year. Then the Thunder, that were a 57-win team. Then the Timberwolves, and then playing against the Celtics. And then they compared that to who the Thunder had to play. The Grizzlies, not as great. The Nuggets, very, very good, but just using the win number, not as great. This year's Timberwolves also not as great when you look at wins. And then the Pacers, a straight up 50-win team, I think, or even 49. So they're just comparing like, oh, this kind of lucky ring or whatever. But that's the thing. You play who's in front of you, and even then, I don't think the Mavs could do anything against Nikola Jokic last year or this year when we have Luka. And wins don't mean everything. And Jokic gave him a test, and they took it. And I think that was the biggest thing. It felt like once they beat the Nuggets, they were probably going to win. And I'm proud of the Pacers for giving them really. I don't know if the Thunder expected the Pacers to give them that kind of a punch, but man, they played amazingly, and I love all the changes, like going from game 5 to game 6, where the Pacers got destroyed. The Pacers then flip it and say, nope, we're gonna do it right back to you, and changing from pressing the whole time to actually only picking up at half court and making everything so congested that the Thunder are like, man, we haven't seen this whole series, and now they do this to us, showing Rick Carlisle's ability there. Yeah, this Pacers team is different, and I keep forgetting that this Achilles injury for Tyrese Haliburton won't just be fine by the beginning of next year, because it's about a year long. So it
the
feels like,
next year is wiped out for him. Like if he
yeah,
knows what's good for him, he's not going to rush to come back next year. He's out. Jason Tatum's out for the whole year. I would just assume
yeah,
that right off the cup. I think I'm not too worried about the Pacers because their style of play, which gave
hmm
the Thunder fits, because you don't have a key superstar to key on.
yeah,
Like you got Siakam and you got Tyrese, but then like all the other guys in the starting lineup are touching the ball equally as much. So
hmm
it's not like you can key in on one person because they play the game unselfishly.
no, they do,
And it's more for like concepts and like situations that they drill down 4 or 5 concepts in these sets and they're doing it at the speed they are, where it's like anybody is live with the ball. Versus like when they had to worry about the Timberwolves, there's a clear superstar where everything ran through an Anthony Edwards.
yeah,
Thunder do better when they're faced with that. So when looking at how they struggled, I wasn't really surprised. I just
hmm
thought that their defense was so great it would be able to overcome that before the series started. Um, but credit, they won the chip. Let's not act
yeah,
like they didn't do things. They should have done things perfectly because they done things that worked all year, and um, they still got like 15 draft picks coming up.
yeah.
So, with that said, this I think for the past 7 years, there's not been a repeat champion. Do you think that breaks next year, or is it too
Uh,
early to?
well, big thing here is I actually just listened to the offseason preview for like what do they call it, the Game Theory podcast with Sam Massini and Bryce Simon. They were doing one for every team, and obviously because the finals just ended, they did the Thunder. The Thunder have all 15 of their players under contract next year, so nothing is changing. There's no way anything can change. They can make a trade. Why would they? That doesn't make any sense. Whereas for the Nuggets, it was, well, KCP, bye bye, have a good time, go make some money. And for so that separates from, because this has been something we've asked the past three champions. Can the Nuggets repeat? What's going to stop them? Losing guys in free agency. The Celtics, what's going to stop them? No one could stop them in this run through the East. Injuries, specifically Jason Tatum, but also Kristaps Porzingis not being 100% healthy. And so I think as it stands right now, full health for all these players, I think they can, and especially because you're gonna get the issue that I was just talking about of not having passing. You're about to get a real point guard, Nikola Topic. I think he's Serbian as well, coming in next year for his true freshman season, because this was freshman rookie season, because this was kind of a redshirt. He was injured, and I think they could get even better. I mean, J Dub, All NBA J Dub, Jalen Williams. He's gonna have an offseason of getting even better. Hopefully, refining his shot a little bit. I want Chet to get his shot a bit quicker, but overall, these guys only have time now, and they can only get better. So this is gonna be interesting to see where they come out next year. So I think right now everything stays the same. They're still top of the totem pole right now.
Yeah, while they are, I think that when next season comes around, like, and I hate to bring up the West in this conversation because the Thunder all year last year have been heads and toes above the West.
Yeah.
But you look at what Houston did to resolve their problems. We'll talk about that in a bit. And
Mm-hmm.
then what kryptonite your team Dallas has served, like in matchups, like they're like a
Yeah.
bad draw for the Thunder, and they're going to be really dangerous. But I would say I would rank Houston over them for right
Definitely.
now, just because there's so many moving variables. Um,
Yeah. I would
like
also.
the Lakers, like that Clippers were a great matchup for them, and then the Nuggets. Those are five teams
Mhm.
right there, and just looking at how the West is going to shape up, I don't know if they're going to repeat, but I could see them make it to the finals 2 times in 3 years, or 3 and 4, or 4 and 5.
Yep.
Um, they have all the talent and chemistry in the world now, where they don't have to change a thing. And without the breaks in chemistry, they can do it. I just think the teams in the West have gotten better, and the weaknesses that they had to address were addressed.
Yep. And yeah, I think the Nuggets as well. That's why I wanted to say specifically right now, because we don't know what the Rockets look like. Obviously, they're going to be good. How good? I don't know. And what are the Nuggets going to do? They a few days ago they just locked in their I don't even think they said GM, but like their president of basketball operations, their president of blah blah blah. Like basically, the team making those decisions is locked in, and now they're going to start making free agency or moves for the roster. So yeah, I'm curious to see what those two teams do. I'm thinking it's Houston Nuggets that can switch really easily. The Lakers as well, depending on what they do, but I think they're behind those other two teams, and the Mavs would be great to be there. I don't. The Timberwolves also have to be there somewhere. They have big decisions to make, so it feels so fluid. Everything's happening right now, and the West is a bloodbath. It's hard to even understand what's going to happen next year. So I'm I'm just excited thinking of the KD trade, but yeah,
Let's do it. So Rockets end up getting Kevin Durant. Um, basically, they acquired Kevin Durant
yeah,
by trading away Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, and the number 10 pick, on top of 5 second-round picks.
yeah,
So you look at the number of picks and it's like, boy, that's a lot. But I 100% love the philosophy here, because you only give up two of your core players right now. One of which was extremely disappointing in his first sniff of the playoffs, and you trade for a champion.
mhm,
Maybe not like the draft pick, but I understand that that's going to bring as much value as like Jalen Green plus a draft pick for Kevin Durant, given his age. 100% get it. And then 5 second-round picks, that could be anything. So if you're really good, then those 5 second-round picks are going to be lower to waste a draft. They're not going to have as much value, so I understand why they did it. Um, the fact that they kept Şengün, Van Vliet, Tari Eason and Ahmed Thompson and Steven Adams.
Yeah.
That's a great core. Like they're six deep now, and in ways that their defense is going to be even more suffocating,
Hmm.
and they're going to have a more consistent offensive force that shows up every time. This is great for the Rockets. Going small was like, and they still have Jabari Smith too.
Yep. And
There's
Reed Shepard.
Yeah, a guy who I really liked coming out of the draft last year. So they're 7, 8 deep still, despite all the assets they traded away. And if I'm looking at their like really big lineups, they could
Mm.
start Amon Thompson, Kevin Durant. Um,
Van Vliet.
no, we're not going to go there yet. We're looking at your tall lineups here:
Yeah.
Şengün, Jabari Smith, and Tari Eason. They can
Okay.
start all five of those guys at the same time. Like you're not throwing overhead passes over that group, man. I'm sorry.
It's true.
It's not happening. Like they could start all five of those guys on their team. That's insane to me.
Yeah. Uh, but the big thing I like, I definitely agree with that. They got a lot bigger, and I think a big thing is does you push two guys out for one guy, right? And that makes space not just for Jabari Smith Jr. because I think he could even get a starting spot or get a lot more minutes than he got this year. He was also injured, but also for Reed Shepard, uh, he can play in a lot more lineups now that Jalen Green, who takes up a lot of time at the two, is gone. Dylan Brooks, who might play a little too, but him out of the three position gives space to someone else who could open up that point guard position off the bench. So it'll be it'll be very interesting. And yeah, this and the big thing here is the Rockets didn't give the Suns any of their own picks back. The Rockets still have multiple Suns picks, and the Suns were like, "Well, this is the best offer we have. Katie doesn't want to play with us. We need to do this," and they could have gotten a better return at the trade deadline. Now, you might have gone against Katie's wishes, which it's a debate if you should respect the Hall of Famers' wishes. My opinion, yes, but it just it pays to not necessarily be aggressive, but not hesitate. That's the word. To be quick with it and just understand what you need to do. Now, for the Suns, this this is a step. This is one step in a possibly like multi like 100-mile walk to get back to relevancy. And I don't know what happens next. A friend sent me this meme where it was like the three Spider-Men in No Way Home being like, I'm Peter 1. No, I'm Peter 1. You're Peter 2. You're Peter 3. And it's like Jalen Green, Bradley Beal, and Devin Booker on the team. And I was like, I mean, Devin Booker or Jalen Green, I think have to be traded. Just either at the trade deadline or as soon as possible because,
I disagree.
yeah,
I think it's Bradley Beal. That's
but that's the
that's the one you
thing.
got to get off of. It's like you're gonna have to somehow convince him. My worry here is the amount of guards they have now.
Exactly.
Booker, Beal, Grayson Allen. Now you add Jalen Green and
Dylan
uh,
Brooks.
Dylan Brooks.
Yeah.
You can't start them all. Like, are you gonna tell like Bradley Beal and Grayson Allen to go to the bench? Like that's I and that wasn't their problem. Like their problem was they could score with anybody, but their defense didn't show up.
Yeah. It's just really tough. And I think that's the thing. I mean, if I could, if I was the GM of the Suns and I could do whatever I want, I'm shipping Bradley Beal to China. No offense to Bradley Beal, but like it has been just terrible what has gone on. And this is all the Wizards GM's fault. I don't know his name, but for giving Bradley Beal a no trade clause on that contract and then being able to ship him off to the Suns and make that their problem is insane. And that's what's really screwed the Suns. If he could have been traded earlier, the Suns would be in a much better position. So I don't know who it's gonna take to convince Bradley Beal of wherever he's going, it's gonna be way better than the Suns. But I don't know, man. That's why I didn't even mention him because I don't even think that could happen. I don't know what you'd have to do to make that man get traded.
You're gonna have to move heaven and earth. Um,
Exactly. So
moving
but
on to second trade, we got a lot of trades to cover.
we do.
Simons, a player I like a lot. I'm surprised he got moved by the Portland Trailblazers, and they acquired Jrue Holiday again. I'm like,
Yeah,
what? What just happened?
silly.
So Jrue Holiday goes to the Blazers. Simons and 2 second-round picks come back to the Celtics. This is a great trade for the Celtics. Save a lot of money, and for a guy that still has 3 years, 104 million left on his contract, I like this move because Simons is an underrated shooter. Um, you're gonna get a lot out of him in that regard. He fits what Joe Mazzulla wants to do, and he can play around Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum because he's used to that with Dame and CJ and what they were like. So I think I think this is a great fit for the Celtics. They got what they needed. Um, it's just their defense is going to take a hit without Jrue Holiday. Any defense would. Um, but overall, I'm a little bit confused on what the Blazers' strategy here is
Hmm.
because you got Aiden, you got Kamara, and then you got
Robert Williams.
yeah, and Scoot Henderson.
Yeah.
Where does where does Holiday fit in that mix? Like expecting him to be six man of the year, or like what's going to happen here? So I'm a little worried about the Blazers side of this. For the Celtics, I think they did a phenomenal job financially managing this situation.
Yeah. Let me get the numbers here. So Anthony Simons makes about a similar number. He makes 27, let's say 28, and Drew Holiday makes 32. So not that different, but Anthony Simons, you only have him one more year. Drew Holiday you would have had for another year, and then what is that like? And then Drew Holiday could then decide for the next year, and then he's a free agent. So you had possibly 2 more years of Drew Holiday at over $30 million, which is intense. So I think that's a big reason why the big any move the Celtics makes the Celtics make, no matter what it is just let's get off this money, and if it helps us, that's great, and that's the big thing here. The Celtics get 2 picks and get off money and get a young player. Now, obviously, Anthony Simons aligns with the offense. He can hit a lot of threes, pull up type of guy, but he does not play any defense. And I think it'll just be interesting. I mean, this might be just this weird year for the Celtics where we're just gonna try stuff. We don't have as much pressure because Jason Tatum's injured, so let's just see what we can do and open our books for whenever Jason Tatum's back. And my first thought when I saw this trade was, if I'm the Trailblazers, I'm shipping Drew Holiday somewhere else for something because Drew Holiday in 2021, I guess Andrew Wiggins for the Warriors, KCP and Bruce Brown for the Nuggets, Drew Holiday again in 24, and then this year Alex Caruso. Almost for sure, 4 of those 5 recent champions have signed a player or traded for a player that plays defense, can hit a wide open three, or even better in KCP's case, and just plays lockdown defense at multiple positions. And that was one thing that the Thunder winning this championship now makes Drew Holiday way more valuable because he's already done that twice. If you're a contender, you want to win, you get Drew Holiday. In the first season, it's really likely you win the title. But it looks like because of how good the Blazers were defensively, Tamani Kamara, Denny Avdia, um, I guess, oh
The
my God,
Georgia guy, Donovan Clingan.
yeah, Donovan Clingan. There's a lot of defense on this team, so getting a wily vet that plays good defense could help them out. Um, I guess they're looking to swing up, but if it was me, I'd try to trade him. But you have other assets to trade. Aiton, like you said, Aiton and Robert Williams, those guys are kind of out, I think. So
Or Jeremy Grant too, because if you look
yeah.
at just reading an article about this, like
Hmm.
Grant and Simons were probably the most introverted people on the team, and they
Yeah.
were kind of like who they would look up to as leaders. Now you're bringing a championship caliber guy and Drew Holiday. He has plenty of leadership experience. He's done it on New Orleans. Like he's this is not new to him, and I think the identity part of it is also why they made this move. So I don't disagree about the defense getting better.
Yeah.
Um, what I am concerned is this enough for them to even sniff play in?
Yeah.
That I'm gonna I don't know. I where do they stand against the Kings? Because that would be kind of the level I foresee this team being at.
Well, okay. Sorry. Sorry. I'm glad I muted myself. I almost choked on my water if you saw me drinking it. Anywho, so the Thunder for sure they're not better than the Rockets, the Nuggets, the Lakers, like the Clippers, the Mavericks, the Timberwolves. Who else? We're at 7 teams. The Warriors. I'm at eight teams, so there's only 2 more spots. The San Antonio Spurs should be better. Wemby, he's actually had a crazy post that was literal aura farming, definition of aura farming. So that's already 9 teams that I've counted that for sure are better than the Blazers. Then you're left with the Kings, the Jazz, the Pelicans. Oh, the Grizzlies make 10. So that already locks out your play-in tournament. That I think, even at their peak of what they were this season, I don't think they're better than those 10 teams. So it's gonna be tough. They're gonna have to really improve.
Yeah, and what I'm saying here is the fact of just adding a single player like Holiday could help them make this jump. Where suddenly Kamara and um, Dembiapria just suddenly just kill it out of the park.
Yep.
Like
Yeah.
when they just start to take up with a class like Jrue Holiday, people are going to pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
People are definitely going to pay attention. And you saw how far Anthony Edwards went with the Timberwolves. Like there's a lot of moves yet to happen. Like a lot of moves yet to happen this offseason. So I wouldn't rule them out just yet. Not with a guy led by Chauncey Billups.
True. Just it feels like the trade deadline. So this is exciting because I always say the trade deadline is like NBA Christmas of like moves, and this is basically another one of those. So that's pretty lit, and we're literally still in June, guys. The next season doesn't start for 4 months, and we've got like 4 trades in the past 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks. No,
They wanted to take away the Thunder's shine, man, by having this happen, the draft tomorrow, and then the summer league starting soon. Like, yeah, I
exciting.
totally see what you're saying here. Let's move on to our third trade then, because 2 trades weren't enough. Jordan Poole found out today he is moving to the Pelicans along with Sadiq Bey and the 40th pick in this year's draft. And with the Pelicans ship CJ McCollum, Kelly Olynyk, and a 2027 second round pick. That was the Bulls. Poole is just 26 years old, finished his second season with the Wizards. Primarily played point guard during his role. What do you think this move makes? Like, how far does it elevate the Pelicans or Wizards? Who do you think won this trade?
I think it's very interesting because I didn't think that anyone wanted CJ McCollum at all. And this actually gives the Wizards a bunch of cap space when Marcus Smart, Chris Middleton, and now CJ McCollum get off their contracts. They're gonna have a bunch of space to do whatever they want in maybe a year or two, for whenever Sar and their next draft pick and Bub Carrington and all those guys that are a bit more developed. But for New Orleans, I see this as kind of DeJounte Murray insurance because I think he tore his Achilles last year, but and I don't really know if DeJounte's a point guard, but Jordan Poole can play that point guard role, and he gives that speed that I think will help a little bit with Zion, with Trey Murphy, with Yves Missi. This is a very interesting move that makes the Pelicans that much better. And to me, out of nowhere, I was not expecting this. It's a huge move for I think Joe Dumars is their GM now. It's a big first splash for Joe Dumars. Definitely a lot better than his previous work in Detroit. So this is very nice. I'm excited for the Pelicans. You come out of a season that's just weird, confusing, and there's still some uncertainty with what's going to happen with Zion. How many games is he going to play? Yeah, it's it's
Best
weird,
case
but
scenario,
yes.
though, you're talking about a really good lineup where you have lots of scoring options.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of scoring options because Trey Murphy had to serve as the number one option many times this season
Yeah.
for the injuries. Jordan Poole's done it before. DeJounte Murray, like Zion. Like you got there's a lot to like about what they're doing, um, and then you got a guy like Valanciunas, again,
No,
one-time primary scorer
no,
with the
he's on
Raptors.
the Kings now.
Oh, he got moved.
Yeah,
Man,
it's weird.
shows how much I know.
Yeah, but I think that's a big thing I've learned from the Mavs injuries, especially from the Pelicans injuries this year. Is injuries obviously are bad, but there are silver linings to take out of it. Trey, like you said, Trey Murphy being that primary creator, that makes him infinitely better to then be a secondary creator, a tertiary creator.
And they still have Herb Jones too. This is going to be a
Right.
very,
Oh
very
my
deep
God.
squad, man.
I'm down for some Zion at center lineups because you have size, and I low-key think Zion does need the ball a little bit because he doesn't really shoot it like that, right? And
He doesn't. He wasn't need to with this move.
no, he doesn't need to shoot it. Yeah, yeah, that's right. Um, but no, it's kind of like a. I've compared. This has come up in my mind a bunch. It avoids it avoids the Pelicans Ben Simmonsing Zion, which
Zion.
is if he doesn't have the ball in his hands, he's not as good as when he does have the ball in his hands, and he is your best player. So it's just it's good. Add spacing, but also some other creation when he's off the court or when he needs a break and whatnot. So or he's injured even. So no, this is very interesting. Shout out to Jordan Poole for getting out of basketball Siberia.
I
Yeah.
mean, with all the stars, like the cap management, I get, but like when you got Koulibaly, Carrington, George, AJ
Hmm.
Johnson, Alex Sarr, and then you add a guy like CJ McCollum to like a group of veterans like Middleton,
Yeah.
and Corey Sispert. I
Mm.
think I think the Wizards can improve a lot, and then plus you look at like Sadiq Bey, like he was just an injury casualty out of
Yeah.
this, and still 26, still has a lot of future. But now by trading him, you open up the floor with all these young guys to get more reps and see how the generations before them do it, the
Yeah.
veterans before them do it, and I think by the time 2026 hits, this team will be ready.
Yeah. Definitely. And if if you're listening and you haven't watched Alexander Sarr highlights, they're kind of fire, especially at the end of the season. He was playing a lot better. It does take rookies a bit of time. Like some of them hit the ground running and they're pretty good, but the way he played there at the end, some really nice defensive plays, and I think that's what you want to see with him. That's the floor. And if he can hit some shots, make a few. I know he was a big midi guy out there in Australia, which is kind of weird. But it could be interesting. So I'm gonna put them on the back burner. My roommate, he's actually a Wizards fan, and he doesn't care about the NBA because the Wizards suck, right? So kind of for him, hoping that they get better, so he can have a bit more fun. He's also a Ravens fan, so he's already fine on one end of the spectrum.
All Gilbert Arenas and John Wall had to do was their jobs.
Yeah. God, Gilbert Arenas had this putrid take that I read on Twitter, and I was like, Gilbert Arenas, just
Was this
shut
about the
up.
ring culture?
No, it was like he was like, people don't respect these small market teams. This ring won't be as respected. I'm like, bro, this was a 68 win team, dog. Like you play in the league, but clearly you don't have much ball knowledge, or you're just trying to farm like views, which is understandable, I guess. But I'm so done with Stephen A. Smith, with all like with who's that guy? Not Ocho, not Chad Ochocinco, but another like football player that talks about the NBA. Um, I'm just done. Or Acho, something like that.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Yeah,
Because
yeah.
it really pissed me off because in one of those games, there's this tweet came out that Stephen A. Smith is on his phone playing solitaire during the game in the third quarter, and it's like what are you
I've seen
doing?
games where he's like courtside in Knicks games and he's just staring at his phone the entire
Like
time. And he's
oh
courtside. I'm like, dude, I've sat in the second row of Bulls games when they was bad. Lucky tickets to get those.
yeah
And I was just happy to get signatures from Bobby Portis and Cristiano Felicio. And
That's
like most
insane.
guys would be like, why are you going to those Bulls games? I've never heard of these guys in my life. By the way, Cristiano Felicio highlight tapes.
That
Go
is
solid.
that is a
Go
crazy
solid.
pull.
But like, dude, like, do you know how much of like just privilege you gotta have just to sit
Yeah.
and like be on your phone and whatnot? And if Stephen A somehow sees this, he's probably just gonna be like, do you want to talk about privilege and like go into this whole debate on a topic we will not address?
Yeah.
But it's
It's tough.
when they give the takes they do, and you see the actions like around it, it's like not crediting their journalistic history and whatnot, but it's like they're not watching the games,
Yeah.
not seeing the players like like it's. I think, yeah, I think he has a lot of points. Like I can't disagree with every single Stephen A. tick he has, but like some
Mhm.
stuff about like the players are just large generalizations. Like
Yeah.
he's right about the MJ and LeBron debate. He's right about the All Star game, like
Yeah.
being terrible.
Yeah. I
Like
won't disagree
some
that
of
the
the
All
other
Star
stuff
game
I feel
sucked.
like is dramatized more. Like the Ja Morant thing that happened, that didn't need to be discussed. That didn't
Yeah.
need to be discussed at all. Like the Memphis, like playing in Memphis, like
Mhm.
everybody has their own
Ah,
opinions and stuff.
yeah.
That was just ridiculous. So that's my rant on that. Let's wrap this up with one more trade that we just found out before we
Just
hopped on.
found out.
Kristaps Porzingis, second Celtics player. You kind of hinted at this earlier, Diego. Three-team trade that kind of confused me reading this multiple times. We'll need like a three-column chart to read this three-team trade.
Yeah.
Um, Kristaps and a second-round pick is going to the Hawks. Terrence Mann from the Hawks and the Hawks number 22 pick is going to the Nets. And Yang from the Hawks and the second round pick is going to the Celtics. So those are the details there. To me, I was personally confused, like why Boston traded away Porzingis and didn't get like enough assets like that because they had to add a second round pick on top of that. So I'm like, okay, you would think they would get Atlanta's first rounder or like a
Mhm.
better player than Yang. It was just a really confusing situation. Then you had talked about some of the salary disparity offline, and it makes somewhat sense.
Yeah.
I'm just like, man, you just had a great deal with Simons. Like, you tell me you couldn't get a Jalen Johnson or like a Dyson Daniels or something like that by
Well,
beating Kristaps Porzingis in a pick. Like, I don't know. It just seemed it just seemed weird to me, like the return offer they got.
yeah. I mean, ideally, right, if you're Brad Stevens, you're like, I would love to have me, Jalen Johnson, or Dyson Daniels, but that's that's something I've learned a lot this year as well, especially with the Desmond Bain trade, comparing that now to the Kevin Durant trade, that there's so much like right, you can say, oh, Desmond Bain got so many trade first round picks. That means Kevin Durant has to go for more. Theoretically, yes, because he's a better player, but everyone on this planet that knows about the NBA knows that the Suns wanted to trade Kevin Durant, and that was not going to work. And the Suns would do almost anything to get rid of Kevin Durant. So, and that's like a leverage thing, right? So, applying that to the Celtics, we all knew Jason Tatum's out. They don't want to spend money. They just traded Drew Holiday. We know the Celtics want to get off of money. And so I don't know, obviously I don't know who started the conversation, but if I'm the Hawks talking with the Celtics, I'm saying you want me to do you a favor. So I'm not going to do you another favor and give you. And also Jalen Johnson he's on completely untouchable for that for the Hawks. So I think that's a big reason why. So I've started to see is like when teams are in a trade discussion, it's you're scratching my back or I'm scratching
What
your
about a
back.
guy like Barlow? Like you couldn't get a young asset like that, considering like, well, how are you planning for the future? I don't know.
Yeah.
I think you had to get one of those guys for a guy like because Kristaps is a big impactful player.
Yeah,
Like
but uh-huh.
think about like what the Wizards got back in return for him.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think the big thing as well is what's Kristaps' health looking like? I mean, my guy couldn't consistently play in the playoffs and wasn't 100% overall in the season. And we can never get a definitive, he has this, he is getting treatment, he will be better. No, it was, he had this, he's okay. He has this again. It's a viral thing. Nothing saying what it was specifically. So I think that's a big thing as well. Because for the Hawks, you get him as kind of a rental for 1 year. He's an unrestricted free agent next year. So if it works and he's healthy, great. That's your guy. You re-sign him. If not, you don't lose anything. You actually gain cap space. So it's interesting. But then again, you could say, why don't the Celtics keep him in that sense? But
Yeah,
big
I
number.
don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I think for what the Celtics seem to be doing with their first trade,
Yeah.
they're gearing up for the season that Jason Tatum comes back anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, why don't you just get a younger asset
Yeah.
instead of just banking on Yang playing on a lower contract and trying to bank on a free agent coming in? Whenever you do a trade, you got to feel optimistic about your future
Mm-hmm.
with players you get. And I don't really necessarily think they did that. They're banking on being able to pull free agents the season after because of the
Yeah.
salary decrease. And who knows what happens because, like, look at the teams out west that are coming up. Dallas might make a big free agent move because of the Cooper Flag contract next year. You
Mm-hmm.
know, the Spurs are like gonna wheel and deal with like all the assets they have,
Yeah.
like coming up. Like the Celtics are not going to be the only contending team we think of next year that are going to be pulling for like some of the superstars that are just deciding where to go.
Yeah.
So they're taking a big risk by doing this, in my opinion, rather than at least trying to get young talent and then trying to have them develop over the course of the season.
Yeah.
They're
No.
wasting a year, in my opinion, but they made the Simons move too, so it's like, why not just double down on that? It seemed like a weird
Mm-hmm.
move to me.
Yeah. I guess one thing to point out with Niang as well is he's just on the books for this next season, and then he's a unrestricted free agent. But I was gonna say something. Oh,
But you could have got a young guy from the Nets, in that opinion. Like,
yeah,
I mean, why not? You could have tried to get like Cam Thomas or something like that. Like work a deal like Porzingis and Cam Thomas and see where that goes. Like that's probably not the best example.
yeah,
Maybe Cam Johnson might be a better like that would have been maybe a better ideal fit for like what their
yeah.
team's gonna look like with the Jason Tatum. You know how much I love Cam Johnson, but
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, I mean it's just Niang doesn't elevate their roster 2 years
This year,
from now. Like there's a lot of uncertainty with it that it kind of feels like they're tanking for the season.
a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess because you were saying Boston doesn't seem like a big free agent destination. But here's the thing. Like we've said multiple times, we've said it once already this podcast. We've said it multiple times throughout the year, and I don't know since when did this even start? But the West is literally a bloodbath. And if you are in the West and you're like, man, this is really tough. I want to go somewhere where I don't have to fight for my life in the playoffs. And then it becomes the summer of 26. You're a free agent, and the Celtics have a ton of cap space. They can not only you can not only sign, maybe another buddy could sign, and you could have another super team that the Celtics have had and had experience with a good coach. And so I think that's a big thing. The Celtics being in the East makes it a lot different.
Michael Porter Jr., you are a
Ooh,
Boston Celtic.
that is insane.
He fits what they do. He fits
He
what they
does.
do on the offensive end.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, if that actually happens, I will do a victory lap. But um,
You
I,
should.
I at the same time, I feel like LeBron went directly to the West
Yeah.
because he was
Well,
trying to be like, I'm not ducking the West,
yeah.
and I'm going to LA. Like that's why he did it. So you could also have players that do that also. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, it'd be interesting. Like the Celtics could easily try to get Bradley Beal.
Yeah, they
Like
can.
if you're just not gonna care about the season, why not just get Bradley Beal? And then if he stinks the bed, then like you can let him go after one season. Like you don't have to be like locked into this no trade clause deal that the Suns are. Like
Mm,
it's not a. If you think about the upside, the
yeah.
Celtics can get from like literally what Bradley Beal did for the Suns.
Hmm.
Like it's a no brainer. Like just they're not. I and this is not to. I feel like we're just crapping on Jordan, but it's like I just don't think he brings the dynamicism we're used to seeing with the Celtics that
Yeah.
Porzingis did, and where like a scorer would, where
Hmm.
it just feels weird.
Yeah.
So we'll see what the Celtics do in free agency, but I'm not liking this trade so much. It just felt like we just want to get rid of Porzingis as soon as possible, rather than like let's set ourselves up for the future.
Yeah. I think one thing about it could be if because they could have just kept Porzingis and pay that 22 million difference. But I think there are things that happen with like repeater being a tax team multiple years in a row gives more restrictions through the CBA or whatever. So it's basically just rules that make it harder for you to do things.
Right.
So that might be it. And we I could look into that a bit more, but no, it's interesting. Yeah, and this is fun. I don't know. It's exciting. So many things happening.
So many
I live
possible everything's on paper now, so it's pointless discussions once the season
true.
starts. But it's exciting to think about now because we don't have NBA basketball anymore, even though it literally ended 2 days ago.
I
So
know. I'm itching. I'm like, what am I gonna survive these next 4 months? I mean, probably. I have every year I follow the NBA, but what if I don't? I'm scared.
you can watch the Fever and the Suns go at it. Sorry,
Yeah.
the Sun, the Connecticut Sun.
God, it's insane, man. I don't get how the WNBA lets Caitlin Clark be beat up by other players like this.
Yeah, the Mabry shove was just insane.
Just
Like
insane.
that should have been caught right away. But
Yeah, but
um,
whatever.
alrighty, that's it for us. You can follow us at I'm on a mission on our
Cool.
YouTube channel. That's our Instagram tag that Diego's pointing at.
Yep.
Feel free to give comments, questions, or concerns on anything we mentioned. Um, Next week, we may or may not have an episode. It depends. But a lot of draft coverage to keep in mind. So we will do our deep dive into prospects, where we think what fits and whatnot. Until then, you guys take it easy. Diego, hit us with the outro, buddy.
See you.